Okay, so something I left off with that last amendment there. So anything that the Constitution says that doesn't give the federal government power to do, and the states come together and they say the federal government can't do, states can do themselves, or the people can decide together and say, hey, okay, we want this to be done. Amendment 11, judicial limits. The judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity commenced or prosecuted against one of the United States by citizens of another state or by citizens or subjects of any foreign state. So what this is basically saying is that so like people can't come together and say, hey, we're going to take the whole state to court in federal court, or like uh, some other country, like a bunch of people in some other country can't come together and say, um, we're going to sue the state of California. All right, everything has to go through the federal government and the federal courts. Amendment 12, choosing the president and vice president. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one of whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. They shall name in their ballots. Wait, hold on. Electors shall meet in their right? Did I? Okay, no. Amendment 12. Electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one of whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. They shall name in their ballots the person voted for as president, and in distinct ballots the person voted for as vice president. And they shall make distinct lists for all persons voted for president and all persons voted for and of all persons voted for vice president, and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House of Representatives, open all certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes for President shall be the President. If such a number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and in no person have such majority, then from the persons having the highest numbers not exceeding three on the list of those voted for as president, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. But in choosing the president, the votes shall be taken by states, and the representation from each state having one vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of the member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all states shall be necessary for a choice. Oh my God, that's a fucking mouthful. But basically, it's talking about the Electoral College and what happens if there's a tie in the Electoral College for the president. So the House gets together a bunch of people and picks the president. And if the House of Representatives shall not choose a president whenever the right of choice shall devolve upon them, I like to use the word devolve, before the 4th day of March next following, then the vice president shall act as president, and in the case of the death or other constitutional disability of the president, the person having the greatest number of votes as vice president shall be the vice president. If such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if no other person have a majority, then from the two highest numbers on the list, the Senate shall choose the vice president. A quorum for the purpose shall consist of 2/3 of the whole number of senators, and a majority of the whole number shall be necessary to a choice. But no person constitutionally ineligible for to the office of the president shall be eligible to that of the vice president of the United States. So this talks about the president and the vice president being elected separately. Amendment 13, slavery abolished. 1. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So who was the person that's running for president and said that they wanted to keep people in prison because it provides labor, especially considering that a lot of people that go to prison for some reason or another are black. Who was that again? Oh yeah, that's right. It was Kamala Harris. Oh, but it's okay because she's a black and she's a woman and she's black. But it's okay. She can undo the Civil War. It's fine. Tokenism is all that matters. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 14, citizenship rights. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunity of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of laws. Something that doesn't happen. Representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. But when the right to vote at any election for the choice of electors for President and Vice President of the United States, representative in Congress, the executive and judicial officers of a state, or the members of the legislature thereof, is denied to any of the male inhabitants of such state, being 21 years of age and citizens of the United States, or in any way abridged, except for participation in rebellion or other crime, the basis of representation therein shall be reduced in the proportion which the number of such male citizens shall bear the whole number of male citizens 21 years in age and such. So this is where, like, like Florida's a big thing where if you go to jail, you lose your right to vote. So that's basically what empowers them to that bullshit. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as any member of the state legislature or as executive or judicial officer in any state or to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 in each house, remove such disability. So the idea of this is so, like, if you like started a rebellion in a country, you can't be a so normally you can't run in the government, or no, to be you can't be in Congress or president or whatever if you've what's it called? You tried to start rebellion, because this is based off like the Civil War and everything. So if like, because the North won, the South lost, blah blah blah, all that shit. We can talk about that some other time. I'm running a long time. So you couldn't run for office unless the people already in Congress said you can. The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned, but neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or claim any loss and emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. So this is another thing that was, pertaining primarily to the Civil War. The Congress, because this is all the same amendment, which was 1868. The Congress shall have power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. And we'll go on to the next video.